Hello and welcome to this video, which is a continuation on the previous video where we created a modern data stack project using Dagster and to orchestrate DLT and DBT and then storing the data into DuckDB. Basically, it's doing ELT inside and the data is stored in DuckDB. And then afterwards, what you can do is to connect a Streamlit application, of course, and that I have shown in previous videos as well. Here, I will just put in the Streamlit code that you can see a front end of this. And then afterwards, we will go to the main point of this video, which is to Dockerize it. We will containerize the whole data pipeline. And that is really cool because when you have containerized it, it will work in every system. You don't need to be dependent on particular parts of installations, etc. The idea is that when this works locally in my computer very well, then I can easily just deploy it up into Azure, and then Azure or AWS or Google Cloud Platform or somewhere else, it should work as well. And that is really cool. What we will do here and focus on in this video is to Dockerize this. I've copied over the folders that I had in the previous lecture. It means that we have our data extract load for DLT. We have data transformation where we have DBT, and we have data warehouse, which is this job adds DuckDB. And then we have orchestration, which is the Dagster. What we need to do now is a new terminal, and I will activate my virtual environment. Let's see, we'll go into orchestration, and here I will run Dagster dev-f definitions, and we can see that this is running our Dagster web server. Yes, I can click on this Dagster web server and you can see it running here. This is my Dagster web server, and you can see the assets here. You can see the lineage. This is basically the lineage, okay? And the idea is that now I'm running this in localhost, as you can see, localhost 3000. I will close this down with Control-C. The idea is that we want to Dockerize this. I want to Dockerize this together with Dockerizing the Streamlit app. For doing that, I will start with pasting in my Streamlit application. Then we will create a dashboard here, another folder, dashboard. And the Streamlit application is very simple. I'll just copy these files in here from my lecture notes. And you can see here, connect data warehouse. Basically what it does is that it goes into our DB path, first.getEnv DuckDB path. That means we will go in and create a .env here. And we will see what it's called, DuckDB path. And this is basically the path to my DuckDB. I choose to write this path here, data warehouse /job adds.duckdb, just to see that we can run it locally. Because in this connection now, I've also added this from.env import load.env and load.env. That is because we will go here and take the os.getEnv. So we get this env path. This DuckDB path here we will take from .env now, but later on we will send this into a Docker. We'll Dockerize this. We will send in environment variable and we will change the path as well. We can see that I'm not using pathlib here. I can remove that one. And here you can see this is basically just a convenience function that we can connect to DuckDB and then do the query basically. And then we have a dashboard here, and the dashboard is basically a Streamlit app that is very simple. We have simple layout, and then we run the layout basically like that. And in order to run this, we actually need to be in the root folder because how I specified this path. I specified it as data warehouse /job adds.duckdb. To run this one, Streamlit run dashboard, dashboard.py. Now I have run this one. and you can see it works. That the reason why I choose this path is because, and why I choose to run it from outside is that when I run it from the root here, it will have the path to Dockerize data pipeline, and then / and then it adds this path here. We go into data warehouse, we go into job_ads.DuckDB. And this is then the absolute path that is used here for this query, for this DuckDB.connect, that we can connect to this data warehouse, this DuckDB file. Okay, that is basically how we run it locally. Now we will try to Dockerize this. And to Dockerize this, we start with creating a few Docker files. I will have this in the root. I will call this Docker file .data warehouse, because here I will Dockerize the data warehouse, or Dockerize basically the pipeline to create this dashboard, or the pipeline to ingest the data, to transform the data. Basically, it's the one that will create this DuckDB database. And then we will create one for the Streamlit application. We'll have Docker file .dashboard. This is for the Streamlit application. And here from Python 3.11 slim. And then env, we choose which environment variable. We choose the DuckDB path equals to /data warehouse /jobads.duckdb. This is what we send in. Now you can see that, okay, this is in the root of our Docker container. We have this data warehouse folder, and inside that we have this jobads.duckdb. And then we'll have work directory is in /app/dashboard. This is our work directory, and we will just copy our dashboard folder. This one will copy this folder dashboard into our /app/dashboard. We just copy it in. And then we also need to run pip install Streamlit, DuckDB, and pandas to run this Streamlit application. Let's see, do I need, I need python-.env as well, in case we use the .env. And then command, when I spin up this container, I want it to run this Streamlit run dashboard.py server.port equals 8501 --server.address is the local host 0.0.0.0. Basically like this. And then we will have our dashboard. We will orchestrate this with Docker Compose, that we will have both this Dockerfile dashboard and this Dockerfile data warehouse, that they will be run. And then to do that, we will create a docker-compose.yaml. And here we'll have version, let's see, 3.9. Actually, I don't think this is needed. Services, data warehouse, pipeline, build, and context. Okay, the context is dot. And then Docker file. We'll choose the Docker file we want. Dockerfile dot. Actually, I can remove this first. We'll start with, just to show you that it works. It's inside of services. I'll go into dashboard first. And build context dot. It means that we will go into this. Let me just remove this one. Context, it will look into this folder here, which the dot means, and then Docker file, we'll choose Dockerfile.dashboard. We'll choose here dockerfile.dashboard, this one. And inside here, we will have volumes. We'll have volumes is this ./data warehouse :/data warehouse RO. Okay, RO means read only. Here we have our dashboard. Let me see. We have this data warehouse. We take this data warehouse folder, we send it into this /data warehouse in our container. Here we can go into ports. We need to do ports mapping, and we will do 8501 to 8501. You can see the local host is 8501. Like this. Now we have our dashboard ready. Then we just do docker compose up-d. And we'll see if this one works, because now this one will run the dockerfile.dashboard, and inside there we will run the Streamlit app. So we'll see if this one works. It does a lot of installation now. Run pip install. You can see first time it takes a little bit of time. Yeah, I will close this, and yeah, it's finished. Okay, great. Now we should be able to go into localhost 8501 and run this one. And let me just check Docker PS. And you can see this one, this event here is running. It's up, and you can see this port here. We should be able to just copy this one here and go into our browser and paste it in. And you can see this dashboard is up now. And you can see here, it's the localhost 8501. And this is the one that is in our Docker container. Cool, it works. Okay, I'll just do docker compose down to close this one down. Good. And now it's time for my other service. I'll create my data warehouse service, but that one is dependent on this dockerfile.data warehouse. I can write it first here. Okay, DWH pipeline, and here we'll have build, and same here, context is dots, and then dockerfile is the dockerfile.data warehouse, and here we'll have volumes. Let's see, volumes, we'll do a read-only bind mount here. And note that this you can do for local development. For local development, we go into our home, we take our .dbt/profiles.yaml, and then we send this into our pipeline/profiles.yaml, and read only. Okay. Let me just, the prettier doesn't work very well here, actually. I hope that this one works. Let's see, volumes. Maybe I have mistyped something. I'm not sure. Volumes. We will have another volume here. ./data warehouse. We send this one into our data warehouse. We create this data warehouse first, this job as DuckDB, using our what is called Dagster, and then we send this folder into here. Okay, let's see. But then ports, and the ports for Dagster is 3000. We have 3000 mapping towards 3000. Okay, let's see if this one will work. The prettier doesn't work here. It doesn't, it doesn't help me to, okay, maybe I need to do this manually. Okay, better. Let's see, dashboard. Actually, these ones need to go in here, like this. These are part of the dashboard. Actually, the dashboard, we don't need the volumes because we already have it, I think. No, actually not. We need to put it in. Yes. Here we have the data warehouse pipeline. Just take like this. We have data warehouse pipeline. We have the dashboard. and this maps 3000 to 3000. What remains is the Docker file for data warehouse. Just write this one. We do similar here from Python 3.11. I choose 3.11 because I use 3.11 in my system. Otherwise, we could choose a newer version. It doesn't matter. env dbt profiles directory is our /pipeline DuckDB path equals /data warehouse /job ads.txt. These are the environment variables that we send in that we can use. We will have work directory is /pipeline /orchestration. This is where we will have our work directory inside of our container. And then we will copy our data. We'll copy everything now. Our data extract load folder. This needs to be copied into our /pipeline not orchestration, but data extract load. And then we copy similarly, but we copy the transformation, data transformation, into our data transformation here. Like this. Copy this one. And now we'll copy our orchestration into pipeline /orchestration. Like this. Or since we are in pipeline orchestration, we can do like dots. Okay. And now run pip install. We need to have Dagster. We need to have Dagster-dbt, Dagster-dlt, Dagster-web server. We need dbt-core. We need dbt-duckdb. We need DLT, we need DuckDB. Okay. And now we will do command. We'll run Dagster. We'll run dev. We'll run -f. And the definitions file. Definitions.py -h. And the host is 0000 localhost, and the port is 3000. Okay, I think we've got it. Let me just open a new terminal. Okay, I'll remove this data warehouse here since we have bind mounted this data warehouse folder to this data warehouse. Whatever ends up in the inside of the container, inside of this data warehouse folder in the container, it will end up here in this data warehouse as well. That is the idea. Okay, now let's go into ls. We'll see our Docker compose. Docker compose -d. Okay, it's installing a lot of things first time for this other image. With Docker Compose here, we have two services. We have two containers running. We have one that is data warehouse pipeline and one that is our dashboard. Yes, it takes a little bit of time the first time. Yeah, I can close this down and wait until it's finished. Okay, let's open up the browser to look into our localhost 3000, and you can see it works. However, there's some failure here. We cannot see any assets. Reload definitions just to check out, and we get an error message here. What is the issue? It cannot find the .dbt. This profiles directory cannot be found. The problem is that I forgot to change a few things. We need to set those now. First, in our definitions file here, we need to update a few things. We need to update, let's see here. This is the DB path. We will have remove this one, and we'll have here DuckDB path equals to os.getEnv. We need to pick our DuckDB path, And then we'll need to have our DBT profiles directory equals to os.getEnv dbt profiles underscore dir, because remember here we send in our dbt profiles directory, we send in our DuckDB path as environment variables. Then we need to import os. Okay? We get these things in our definitions files. Let's see, is there something else that I have forgotten? Take a look into this. We have dbt profiles dir. Yes, it is here. Good. We need to put in our dbt project, actually, dbt project directory. Here, dbt project. It's the dbt project, and here we have project directory, and here you see we have profiles dir. This is not correct anymore. We'll remove this one, and instead here we'll have our dbt profiles dir. Okay, this is very important. And also here in the destination here we have DuckDB path. Now this should work in our Docker containers soon. We'll actually go into our profiles as well. Let's go into our profiles, open /.dbt /profiles.yaml. Here you can see there's a dbt DuckDB. We'll change this to dbt DuckDB Docker local. And here we'll have target, dev, output, dev, and we'll have type, DuckDB. We'll have the path. And the path here, let's pick that from our environment variable, and we'll pick DuckDB underscore path. Yeah, we don't need to install the formatter for that. Yes. This dbt DuckDB Docker local, as you can see, this is taking the environment variable DuckDB path, which we have set and sent in our Docker file. I'll close this profiles.yaml, and now we just need to do like this. Let me see, in transformations, dbt project.yaml, here. We need to change this one, that it points towards the correct one, Docker in local. Save this one. Okay. Don't mind the red, it's just the editor that has problem. Okay, let's do docker compose down, docker compose up-d. Okay. And now let's go into our browser, reload this one. Let's see, go into our assets, reload definitions. Okay, there's still an error. Let me just close this one down. Go into browser again, localhost 3000. Yeah, there's still an error here. Let me debug and come back. Okay, with some debugging, I have managed to find the problem. I forgot this path here, but I add this path, that we have the path to dbt profiles directory. And also remember in dbt project.yaml, we point towards dbt DuckDB Docker local. And then when you have done the changes, you also need to do docker compose down to close down everything, close down the containers, and then docker compose up-d. But that is not enough, because if the images already existed, and even if you change files, it will just pick the old images. You can force it to build -build. When you run this one, it will run for a while, and then afterwards it should work. For me, I've already done that. I will just do docker compose up-d. Now, if I do docker ps, you can see that I have two containers. I have the data pipeline here, and I have this Dockerize data pipeline dashboard. Then we can go into the browser and do localhost 3000. And here you can see this is my Dagster. Let's go into the assets, and you can see it has been loaded perfectly. View lineage, it works, and we can materialize all. Then when it's materializing, you can see that this one will run here now, and then these three will subsequently run. After we do this, you can see in our VS Code that we will get back our job ads.duckdb. Our data will go there. We'll go into the browser and you can see it's finished materializing, and then we can go into localhost 8501 and you can see the Streamlit dashboard works. We have managed to dockerize our pipeline and dockerize our dashboard. Okay, in this video you've seen me working with Docker to containerize both the data pipeline and the dashboard into two different services using Docker Compose, and they were pointing to two different Docker files. That is quite cool, and you can see that it worked locally. The next step is to use this and push it to Azure Container Registry, and then connect it to a web app. That will be really cool, and I hope that you will follow along and learn a lot more. Thank you for watching this video, and see you in the next one. Bye.